Nobel, Carrier Corporation, Kellogg, those are some of the iconic companies that Steve has worked with and led their global business services. Today's conversation with Steve is not about theory, it's about wisdom from operations. So, Steve, welcome to the
Thank
Wisdom
you.
Series. So, Steve, the first question I want to ask you is really over the last 2, 3 years, we've seen a very rapid rise in setup of new GCCs, Global Capability Centers. What is needed to get that strategy right?
Yeah, I think a lot of these new GCCs, they've got where they want to go in terms of the outcome. And now they're looking at doing it themselves because I think they think they've got the expertise to do it. There is a lot more expertise in the industry, but now they're going after it. But I believe they need help because there's very few really, I would call expert GBS leaders that are out there. There's a lot of kind of the next level down that's really starting to drive, but they're going to need help along the way. They need that partnership. They need that deep intelligence to make those decisions along the way so they can be successful and address those outcomes.
Right. And I also think about how this is very significant program management. So also one of the expertise you need is good orchestration or program management.
Absolutely, all the way along, because a lot of people get very excited up front, and then when you're 6, 9 months in, you see some of the energy start to go, you see some of the program management start to jump off. So if you can find a partner definitely that has that orchestration built in with AI, which is obviously all over everybody's lives at the moment, that's going to be key, I think, to their success.
Right. So Steve, taking that on, what do you see that has materially changed, let's say over the last 18, 24 months, that you think that GBS leaders are underestimating?
As GBS leaders, we tend to talk a lot about value and adding value, but we saw in a recent SSON report that cost is still the number one priority when we talk about value. But it's evolving. It's evolving big time in terms of GBS and GCCs. They've got to be designed now as an insight-led operating model. I think leaders that really treat GBS as a back office, they're going to risk building in some relevance out of the model before it scales. So I've seen organizations like this, both with peers and with ones that I've worked in. They've got to be the hub in that wheel. And now AI is on the agenda. This is going to be driving all the things like data, insights, customer, employee experience as well. And that's really where the value is going to come from. So underestimate that at your peril, I think.
Yeah. So Steve, on that point of value, when you look at high performing GBS, I know that you and Robert and other have been judges on the SSON annual judging of the top leaders. Where do you see them creating real enterprise value beyond cost?
I think what I see in these high performing organizations, and when I think of groups like that, it's the Tesco's, Ecolab, Siemens, Takeda's of this world. They've got AI right at the core of their strategy. Then they deliver those true insights and analytics back into the organization. And I mentioned before about the customer experience and the employee experience. They're really starting to feel it, but they've got AI really embedded in all of their processes.
Let's tease that thread because I was going to ask you to maybe share a little bit more. Where is AI genuinely changing outcomes and in GBS, and where are you seeing it being mostly noise?
I think on the noise part, there's two areas. And one thing that we struggle with is where is it not AI? I've been to too many seminars where there's an AI solution, it's presented, and it's nothing more than a chatbot. The second is where you build AI on broken processes, bad data, inefficient legacy systems, those kind of things. That's where you mainly get the noise that's in there. But I've seen it start to really change the outcomes where customer is involved, making the process more efficient, but really how those customers are seeing the benefits and your employees as well. That's where AI is really starting to make a difference. It's telling us things that we didn't know, it's learning and then building on that and telling us more and more so that we can make changes with those customers, with those employees.
Right. So, Steve, with all these new GCCs being set up and companies adopting shared services or maybe more advanced global business services models, if you're advising a new GBS leader that was starting today, what is the first decision you think they should get right? And what is one mistake that you think they should avoid?
I think if somebody's new coming into GBS, what I always tell people is come in with a thick skin and a sense of humor, because you're never going to be the most liked person in the organization, because you're often taking other functions, people, and control away from them. But for me, take a look at the outcomes that you're targeting. Stretch the overall org beyond this cost mindset that we talked about. Lay out those outcomes that you'll deliver, then design the org, location, people, technology, etc., around them. So you asked about first decision. What is the outcomes? What's success look like to those people in the organization? And the mistake really to avoid is not taking the organization along with them. Make sure that you've got great change management, great program management, and you're looking after those stakeholders as you go along.
Good advice, Steve. Steve, maybe the final question. When there's a lot of change happening and new ways of working or new tech being adopted, I often think about to make progress, often you have to unlearn something to learn something new in a
Yeah.
sense. So when you think about GBS leaders, what do you think is one belief that they need to unlearn to be successful over the next few years?
Yeah, I think we'll go back to the first question, which is really around, this cost model. We're talking about value now, and now we've got to redesign or design from the ground up GBS, GCCs as insight led. So don't treat GBS as a back office and as cost arbitrage. As I said earlier, we're going to build relevance out of this model. We've got to make sure that it's insight led and show the organization the value that it can bring.
So those of you out there, the very few that may not know Steve already, Steve Rudderham, highly recommend you take a look at his LinkedIn feed because he uses his personal life experience, whether that's travel that he does or events that he goes to connect that to leadership principles and leadership actions. Steve, thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you again on our Wisdom series.
Pleasure. Thanks, Atul.
Thanks.